This is the story of something truly strange, something that still haunts me whenever I think about it. I am going to tell you about a door that appeared and disappeared, a door that should not have been there, and the horrors that lay behind. It all started when my friend Mark and I moved into an old apartment in a quiet town. The building was ancient, with creaky floors and dim lights that flickered at odd times. The rent was cheap, almost too cheap, but we didn't care. We were young and needed a place to stay. The first few nights were uneventful. We arranged our things, laughed about the eerie atmosphere, and ignored the strange sounds that came from the walls at night. But then, one evening, something changed. Mark called me into the hallway with a puzzled look on his face. "Did you notice this door before?" he asked, pointing to a wooden door at the end of the hallway. I frowned. The hallway had always ended at a blank wall. But now there was a door, an old, rotting door with a rusted handle. It looked like it had been there forever, yet I was sure it hadn't been there yesterday. Curious and slightly uneasy, we decided to open it. The door creaked loudly as Mark pushed it, revealing a dark staircase leading downward. A cold, damp air rushed out, carrying with it a musty, decayed smell. We hesitated, exchanging nervous glances, but our curiosity got the better of us. Armed with our phone flashlights, we stepped inside. The staircase spiraled down into an underground hallway lined with more doors. Each door looked old, some barely holding onto their hinges. The air was heavy with silence, except for the faintest whispers, like the sound of someone breathing, waiting in the dark. We walked cautiously, peering into the rooms. Most were empty, just dusty stone walls and forgotten furniture. But then Mark gasped and grabbed my arm. "Look at this," he whispered. He pointed at a room where the walls were covered in names, hundreds, maybe thousands of names scratched into the stone. Some were fresh, others faded with time. A shiver ran down my spine when I saw a name that looked eerily familiar. Mark's full name, carved deeply as if someone had just done it. We spun around as a sudden noise echoed through the hallway. A soft tapping, like fingers drumming against a door. It came from the far end of the corridor, where another door stood slightly open, revealing nothing but darkness. "Let's get out of here," I said, my voice shaking. Mark nodded, and we turned back the way we came. But when we reached the stairs, the door at the top was gone. The wall was solid, no sign that a door had ever been there. Panic gripped me. "It was right here! We came through this way!" Mark pounded on the wall, yelling for help, but the silence swallowed his voice. Then the whispering started again, closer this time, surrounding us. We ran, desperate to find another way out. The hallway seemed endless, twisting and changing. The doors no longer led to empty rooms. Now they revealed horrors, shadows shifting, eyes watching from the darkness, figures standing motionless, waiting. A woman with hollow eyes grinned at us from behind a cracked door before vanishing into the gloom. A child's voice called out, but we never saw where it came from. Then, suddenly, Mark wasn't beside me anymore. I turned around, heart hammering, and saw him standing in front of a door, his face pale. "They're calling me," he murmured. "Mark, don't!" I shouted, running toward him. But it was too late. The door pulled open, revealing nothing but a black void, and before I could grab him, he was gone. The door slammed shut, vanishing as if it had never been there. I screamed his name, pounded on the wall, but there was only silence. Then, the whispering changed. It became a voice, deep and echoing, speaking words I couldn't understand. The walls started closing in, the hallway shrinking. I had to get out. I ran, not knowing where I was going, just running, until suddenly, I stumbled through a doorway and fell onto the floor of my apartment. The hallway was gone. The vanishing door was gone. Everything was as it had been before, except for one thing. Mark was missing. No one knew where he had gone. The landlord claimed Mark had never existed, that I had rented the apartment alone. His things were gone. His name was not on any records, and his phone number didn't exist. But I know what happened. I know the truth. The vanishing door took him, just as it had taken the others before him. And sometimes, late at night, I hear whispers in the walls calling my name. I know one day the door will return, and when it does, it will come for me.